Hey, what's up guys? It's your dude Shot Master, and today in this video is all about the CFM movement. It's all about you franchise guys out there, whether you're sim guys or competitive guys. If you're playing CFM, this is the video that you want to hear. Now, I know before I get started, I want to just sort of dispel some misnomers. So one of the misnomers is that only sim guys play franchise mode, and that's far from the truth. So when you hear, people say, oh, well, this is for the sim franchise guys, I think those are two separate things, in my opinion. I know plenty of leagues that are competitive play, and that will probably be on competitive play style when Madden 18 comes out. So I just want to get that out there, because I know some competitive guys that play CFM are a little discouraged because they hear, some of the devs and some of the other community guys say, hey, sim guys, this franchise feature is for you. But when in reality, franchise is not a particular style. Franchise is the ability to play multi-season games in a league like a franchise. Whether you play simulation or competitive, it's still franchise mode. So wanted to get that out first and foremost. The second thing I want to get out before I start talking about franchise mode is that I did do an interview with Rex Dixon at EA Play. Unfortunately, I lost the audio for it, or somehow the audio wasn't recorded. And you'll see as I start to talk about franchise a little bit more that it didn't even require me to really go into in depth with Rex about asking all the questions. So what I'm going to do is, I know I asked for a lot of questions, CFM questions, to be asked of Rex, but I just felt like it just wasn't fair, because of the things that there's a lot of things that's not in CFM, and I just didn't want to have a whole interview where he's like, no, that's not in, no, that's not in, no, that's not in, no, that's not in. So we'll talk about that. But, and excuse me if my voice is a little raspy. Again, I'm coming back from EA Play, coming back from the beautiful weather in LA to this hot and humid weather in the DMV. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. All right, so first and foremost, this is not a normal year for any of the development in Madden NFL franchise. Rex talked about it in my video that I lost the audio with, but he also talked about in Sim Football Critics video, and you can find that link to that video in the description down below. But he also talked about, how Frostbite, story mode, and how the NBA Live franchise has sort of impacted the things that they were able to do, but more or less the things that they weren't able to do in Madden 18 this year, specifically for CFM. So that is first and foremost. I mean, he went into not so much depth, but he talked about resources not being allocated. And I had talked to somebody before that, I haven't heard John White in a while. I haven't heard him talk about franchise or anything. Well, it's because John is actually doing stuff over on NBA Live 18. And so what their long-term goal is to get those two franchise modes up to speed with each other, so that when one gets added this in their franchise mode, then it gets added to the other game as well. So you'll see things start to get done in NBA Live 18 franchise mode, and then it gets done in Madden, or vice versa. So they want to share that same technology, and the best way was to sort of not do a whole bunch with CFM this year, get NBA Live franchise up to speed. They still had to put a lot of resources over on story mode, the long shot, and they also had Frostbite coming in as well that they had to put resources in. So this was not a normal year for development on any scale. With that said, though, I do want to talk about some of the things that franchise mode did get. And so one of the first things and foremost things, one of the things that I feel like has been on the top of CFM franchises for a long time is the draft board. We all know how hard, especially those with 32-man leagues, how hard it is to get everybody for a draft. And so they have created a draft board. The thing is this draft board has no logic behind it. So you'll be able to set your prioritization with the players that you want drafted, but there's no logic behind that particular draft board, meaning that there's no, if you have 2 running backs as the first and second on your draft board list, if that first guy gets picked up, if you pick that first guy in the first round, the computer doesn't say, oh, well, you already drafted a running back last round and you don't need a running back. They're just going to draft it again. So I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but for real, like, this is a start. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's some logic that says, hey, if you got the required numbers, I mean, I wish they could even do that. If you got the required numbers for that particular position, then you don't draft that position. But as of right now, yeah, it's just a draft board, and the computer will draft for you if you can't make the draft, and will draft according to who you have on your list. Let me make this kind of clear too. There was no CFM shown at EA Play. None whatsoever. So if anybody tells you differently, that they saw CFM at EA Play or they played CFM at EA Play, don't believe them, because there was no CFM shown at EA Play this year. The second thing I want to talk about is the tuning for regressions. Now, that has been a big sort of pain task for a lot of guys, is, you know, the regression of players once they turn the age of 26, and that has been tuned. Rex actually pointed out that, you know, guys like Tom Brady won't retire after his first year in the league, especially with him being a cover athlete. That would probably be bad, but we'll see. You know, again, no one has seen it, so it's hard to say whether regression is better or worse. But if the guys, the devs say, hey, we've tuned regression, then I believe them. I think it will be tuned, but how is it tuned? We don't know. So we'll have to figure that all out. Now, in one of Rex's interviews with Sim Football Critic, you know, Sim asked him about, you know, CFM features and enhancements in the game, and he mentioned coach adjustments as a franchise enhancement. I do think franchise guys will love coach adjustments in the game, but it's not just a franchise, a CFM feature. That's a gameplay feature that goes across all the boards. I'm not sure if it's in MUT. I think it is in MUT, but it's definitely in regular head-to-head. So it's not necessarily a franchise feature, but it is a feature that I do think the franchise guys will love, both simulation guys and competitive guys. The other thing that they added as well is off-ball injuries. So you remember last year, off-ball injuries just did not occur. Like, you did not see offensive linemen hurt. They can get hurt this year. So it'll be very interesting to see, you know, how they get hurt. I always like to see animations when it comes to players getting hurt. Like, did he get hit low and that's why he has a torn ACL? Stuff like that. Other than that, guys, not really a lot of information I can give you regarding CFM. I haven't played CFM this year. I haven't seen it. But from the interviews, talking with devs, the interviews I've seen by others, with NBL did an interview, Sim Football Critic did an interview, some other guys did some CFM interviews. There's not a lot of stuff going on with CFM this year. So what that means to me is a couple of things. Now, one is that Rex pointed out that 65% of the player base play CFM. So that means half of the people that buy Madden play franchise mode. And that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. And I think we need to use that to our advantage. We need to use it to our advantage to come together as one in the community. Again, I don't think this is a simulation or a competitive separation here. We need to stop separating simulation and competitive when it comes to franchise, because when you're talking about franchise, competitive guys want more immersion into the mode as well. They want the ability to modify contracts, you know, backload, give incentives to players. Competitive and simulation guys want all the same things. So we need to come together as one CFM community and make sure that we are heard. Now, you know, there are things that they can do as far as tuning, simulation and competitive style play styles, but I don't think there's any way to, you know, tune CFM. And one of the questions I have for Rex, and that I'll ask Rex, is will there be things going on in CFM that you'll be able to update as we go along? Which brings me to one of my last things regarding CFM, and that is the new Play Now Live. Rex talked about it in Sim Football Critics interview about it being a way that you can pick up in a week and be able to just start a franchise from that week. But what it really does is it unlocks live content updates coming to CFM in the future. So the Play Now Live is, again, it allows you to pick up that week in the NFL season, play that week, start your franchise from that week. But what it also does is it's going to allow us to have live updates and live content updates in the future. Probably not this year, as Rex indicated, but definitely probably next year and in the years after. So we need to come together and try to figure out what kind of live updates do we want in connected franchise mode. What kind of live updates do we feel like we need to come to the mode? I know one of my ideas is to put you know, new rookies into the fold. So, you know, drop them into the draft pool, the scouting pool, do all of that. Again, guys, it's not a lot to get into. Like, whatever you ask, like, did they do anything to game planning? No. Did they do anything to practice mode? No. Did they do anything to scouting and, you know, that? No. Did they do anything to the draft itself? They added a draft board, but that's about it. So again, guys, there wasn't a lot of stuff going on with CFM, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't get behind each other and ask for more and get more from the mode that we love. You know, there's going to be a lot of people poo-pooing this and saying the devs don't care. I think it goes higher than the devs personally. I mean, I don't think this is just my kind of feeling talking to the devs. I don't think they really wanted to do long shot, but they got put in a situation where the people upstairs marketing was like, yo, no, we need some kind of story mode in the game. And that alone caused a lot of resources to go to that particular mode and take away from all the other modes. I mean, we still haven't heard anything about MUT either, as far as anything updated MUT wise. I mean, I know we got MUT squads, but that's something that, you know, the Madden community wanted OTP back, and this was their way of getting OTP back. So guys, that's going to do it for my video. I appreciate you guys listening, and again, I apologize if you were expecting a whole bunch of CFM videos from me. There just wasn't anything to really talk about, and I wasn't going to give you a video of Rex just saying no to all of your questions. So I'm going to go back to that video where people ask questions, and I'm going to answer them myself. I did get to play a lot of Madden NFL 18. Had my own dedicated station at EA Play, so I got a lot of time in. So I'm going to be doing some videos talking about the different aspects of Madden NFL 18. But I definitely wanted to put something out there for the CFM community, guys. I'm going to be starting up something in the next few weeks that I really want the community to embrace and get behind, because I think we just need to voice ourselves a little bit more. Again, this is not about simulation, it's not about competitive, it's about connected franchise as a mode that we love, as a mode that we know can be so much better than what it is, and as a mode that we need to sort of get people get us heard in the eyes of EA and those retailers. So I mean, not the retailers, but the suits upstairs above the devs. Those are the guys that we need to get to. And if we can show that we have uniformity amongst ourselves, then I think we can get something done. Remember, when I started CFM movement, that's what got them to, really push towards CFM stuff. So let's do that again. I mean, let's start that train again, and let's get it going. Hashtag CFM movement. This should do shop. Remember, stick that like button, subscribe to the channel, put in the comment section anything you want to put. If you want to ask me a question, if you want to say, what, I really don't care about connected franchise mode, or if you want to say, what, hashtag CFM movement, let's go, let's get this mode back to where we know it can be. So guys, I appreciate it. Make sure you check me out every Tuesday night, Game Changers Live. We'll be talking this Tuesday about my time at EA Play. We'll be talking about Madden NFL 18, NBA Live 18, and some other games that I was able to get my hands on. And guys, I will check you guys out later. This should do shop. I'm out. Peace.